Sedevacantists are simply Catholics who refuse to bury their heads in the sand about the reality of the great apostasy being upon us, with Francis as the precursor of the Antichrist, the diabolical ape of John the Baptist. Francis hasn't lost any office. Rather, he never had any office to lose. Just as only actual Catholics can remain actual popes, only actual Catholics can become actual popes. But Francis was a manifest heretic long before his supposed election, thus not pope and never pope. One cannot be the head of a body of which one is not a member. It takes absolutely no legal authority to recognize this manifest reality, any more than one must be a coroner to recognize a manifestly dead body. Moreover, Francis isn't simply a bad father. Rather, as a non-Catholic and indeed rabid anti-Catholic, he isn't a father at all. It's time to get real. Really real. The Novus Ordo Anti-Church, now led by Anti-Pope Francis, has manifestly been overcome by hell. It's defected from the faith, as Francis and his fellow robed heretics prove daily. But since we're divinely assured that the actual Catholic Church cannot be overcome by hell, that it's indefectible, the entity now led by Francis cannot possibly be the actual Catholic Church, which is now in the catacombs once again. Sedevacantists don't have all the answers, and they don't claim to. All they claim is an accurate diagnosis of objective reality. A doctor isn't wrong if he correctly diagnoses cancer but doesn't have a cure. Likewise, the cancer doesn't disappear if we deny the diagnosis. Sedes simply refuse to participate in today's all-pervasive war against reality, and thus against God, the author of reality. Both recognize and resist adherents and Beniplenists, if they have any real humility, are now radically re-evaluating their positions and taking Sedevacantism seriously. Hence, for example, they're now going to Novus Ordo Watch and reading posts like these. Anything but Sedevacantism! Analysis of a curious phenomenon. And rethinking the Papacy? A new narrative for the semi-trads. And they'll now start seriously listening to the tradcasts there as well, on, for example, Apple Podcasts. Over at WM Review, they'll be reading articles like these. A note for confused Catholics, apologetics, and dogmatic theology. And it's not a sin to be depressed. Here's what Aquinas and Neri have to say. And they'll have a renewed interest in quotes such as the following. Behold, Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. The Church will be in eclipse. Our Lady of La Salette. But though we or an angel of heaven preach a gospel to you besides that which we have preached to you, let him be anathema. As we said before, so now I say again, if anyone preach to you a gospel besides that which you have received, let him be anathema. St. Paul at Galatians chapter 1. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. St. Paul at Ephesians chapter 5. Bear not the yoke with unbelievers, for what participation hath justice with injustice? Or what fellowship hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath the faithful with the unbeliever? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? St. Paul at 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Recall John Paul II sponsoring idol worship at the 1986 Assisi event. Recall Francis and Pachamama. Where there is no hatred of heresy, there is no holiness. Father Frederick Faber. And finally, the declared enemies of God and His Church, heretics and schismatics, must be criticized as much as possible, as long as truth is not denied. It is a work of charity to shout, "Here is the wolf," when it enters the flock or anywhere else. St. Francis de Sales. Now see the gold mine of links I've posted below this video. We are called, dear friends, to love truth, not comfort. Take up your cross, the cross of this manifest reality that is now upon us.